Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go over some new Truth Drip updates. We've got video number 21 and 22. 21 came out last night, 22 this morning. And then I have something that we've talked about before, but we will go over again. Now, disclaimer, I have had very little sleep. Went to sleep about 4 a.m., between 4 and 5 a.m. this morning. Got up around, again, 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then went back to sleep, woke up about 10. So I'm a little, on the low side of snarkiness, but anything, this brings out the worst in me when I read this stuff. So, disclaimer, anything can happen. So if you are easily offended, you may want to leave the room. So let's start with number 21. I found it very interesting when I watched it. And, they're all interesting, but this one, of course, really got me. And it's probably, if you have not seen it yet, will get you. So as I said, this is number 21. And let me get that on the screen for you. All right. So let's go over it. If I need to stop it, I will, but I will try my best to get through it. It's only 3 minutes and 23 seconds. So here we go.
He passed away, she would talk to me about the life insurance policy and that he was standing to get a lot of money and that he had to go up to the hospital and he had to do a lot of fighting with a lot of nurses for a lot of reasons, and she was always mad about it. And she said to me that she's going to keep working because even though she's getting a lot of money, she's still going to keep her job and all of it. So she was talking a lot about money. So then I was like, okay, well, at this time, in 2021, right after Chris's death, Susie would come to my house. And she was at my house distraught, crying, saying that she just loved JP and that, JP feels like God is telling him that she's supposed to be his wife. And the more she talked, the sicker I got. And I said, he is using you. I'm like, something is wrong, Susie. And she was like, no. She's like, I love him and I want to be with him. She's like, the only problem is with my kids. So she said she was sneaking around with him constantly, dating him, like right after Chris died. And I kept telling her, you need to take some time. She's like, I don't need any time. I'm like, okay, super weird. Well, then Micah Miller turns up dead. And come to find out that Susie is still with JP.
Now let's take a couple of things into consideration here, okay? Because we got a lot of intention going on. Number one, we never really knew if there was a lot of money to, to come after the death of Chris Skinner. Now we know because of this witness statement. Susie stood to gain a lot of money from his death. We also know at this time that John Paul Miller is still married to Micah. Remember, this is 2021, okay? Let's think about all the times between that time and Micah's death where she was being forced to believe she was mentally ill, needed hospitalization, needed to be medicated, okay? These two were working diligently to get rid of both obstacles, which was Chris Skinner and Micah Miller. Now, we talked about yesterday at length how I believe that John Paul Miller had purposely worked a way to where he remote controlled Chris into the water. Now we have a reason. Now we have motive. And it's not just to be with Susie. It's to be with Susie and her money. If it's a substantial amount, and we know that that's what draws John Paul into things, is money. Everything is about money. Women are objects. That's why he replaces them so quickly and has so many of them at one time. Okay? I mean, we know that Susie and Micah were not the only ones in his life at that time. Even in 2021, he had other women. Some of them have come forward. So it's not as if this was a big love affair, like God told him that they need to be together. No, the God of money, Mammon, told him he needed to get together with that money. And the only way he was going to be able to get to that money is to get rid of the person who was standing in his way to get to that money. The only way they were going to collect that money was A, that it seemingly was an accident, because they can't say suicide, they won't get it. And they can't say, well, we offed him, because they'll be in jail. So there's only one option left, to make it look like an accident. And they got the help of this deputy coroner to make sure that narrative went out, even up till 2025. Just to make sure these two got money. Don't tell me this deputy coroner didn't get paid, because I don't believe it. Now, why would I say something like that? Why would Susie go along with something like that? You may say, oh my gosh, Anne-Marie, how could you say that? I mean, this was her husband and she married him like this and she knew what he was like. Well, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, let's go over that. And then we'll go to the next video. Okay. Let's remember what we're dealing with here. Now, we've gone over this before, but we need to go over it again. This is Shonda, who came out sometime this year and gave this statement. I remember when she, being Susie, said in 2021, we are just friends. He, being John Paul, he's hot and I like him, but he's married. So my reply was, so are you, meaning married, that is. And then she, being Susie, told me as she was crying on my living room floor, sometimes I just wish Chris was dead and this was all over. Then Chris died, then Micah died, and now John Paul and Susie are married. So these are two people who commiserated. John Paul talks to Chris about remote controlling his chair. The man who now this is in the incident report, the man who let Chris into the pool, in his statement to the police, said, well, I was in the pool area anyway. Why are you in the pool area at 8 o'clock in the morning? Is this man known for being in the pool area at 8 o'clock in the morning? I know he lives across the street from the pool, so it's easy access. But why are you at the pool area at 8 o'clock in the morning? Why were you so easily accessible to open that gate for Chris? And then we could put that together with the fact that she being Susie, didn't give Chris his meds the night before, but instead that morning to make him sleepy. Because you got to fit that narrative of this was an accident, right? Even though we could see the wheel did not slip in because it was at the edge of the pool. But that's clear as a bell on that video. Also, remember there's footage missing in the FOIA. Footage of him going to the chess sets, leaving the chess sets, going around the pool, and then going to the spot where we see him. And what would be the motive? That these two just want to be together? No, they just want to be together and they want to be able to collect on this man's life insurance at the same time. See, John Paul has convinced Susie this was all God. It had nothing to do with God. So let's go to the next video, which is going to be number 22. Let me get that for you. This is religious and spiritual manipulation. Nothing more, nothing less. And he's been doing this to people for years. That's an excellent point, by the way. I can't go forward without making that point. Some insurance policies pay double if it's an accident. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. And that needs to be said. Thank you for pointing that out. And I don't mean to interrupt one more time. Please forgive me. This is why she was so intent to get that DNR, an unsigned, unfilled out DNR. But because she felt she had this paperwork, maybe already started out, already being filled out, do not resuscitate this man, let him go, because you're getting in the way of our plan. Remember that. She was insistent on that DNR.
He kept pretending before Chris's death that they were just friends, but she said she had a major crush on him. She said that she wanted to be with him. She said that JT felt like they were destined to be together by God. God told him that him and Susie were to be together, which also gives me the creeps because now that I know that I just said, it's like, wait just a second here. Two people that were in the picture legally preventing these two from being together, basically, are now dead? No. Nope.
Now that was a short one, but it fits with the narrative of these two came together, obviously before Chris's passing, commiserated with each other. I mean, even Allison, to the point, had complained about them using the kids to get together at games, okay? Both married. He's a pastor, allegedly. And as I said earlier, only through an accident are they going to be able to collect on his life insurance policy. She's claiming there's quite a bit of money to be made after Chris's death. She claims before his death. I wish he would just die already. I wish he would just go. She wants to be with John Paul. John Paul is saying God wants us to be together. So how do we do this? Well, we've got your husband who's in a wheelchair. He's wheelchair bound. He hasn't done his motivational speaking in a year. You pull back on care on him. So because you're no longer caring and you're neglecting him, he's showing signs of depression. He's showing signs that he's upset and he's not doing well. Okay. And so, yeah, he just accidentally falls asleep in his chair and moves into the pool, and it's an accident. Horrible, horrible thing to happen, but God bless him. He no longer suffers. You know how people think like that. And so she gets the money. Now the next one is Micah. So what do we do now? 2021, 2022, 2023. What's happening? He's doing everything he can to get everybody around to believe that she's mentally ill. She's sick. She's doing this. She's having psychotic breaks. We got to put her on medication. This means that eventually we can get everybody to believe that she just was so psychotic, she took her own life. Now we got rid of both of them, and we could be together and be with the money. And we just go off into the sunset and everything will be great. The only problem was we got in the way. That was the problem. We were never supposed to get in the way of this plan. Now, people were getting paid. Remember, the deputy coroner said with her own words, John Paul's got money. He's got his own money. Does he? Because she can't say Susie's got money. This was in 2025 when she said this, because that would make it look suspicious. Should John Paul's got money? She interjected John Paul into this 2025 reopened investigation. Why? He had nothing to do with it, allegedly. Or did he? And you know that, Deputy Coroner, but what you did was you protected him and Susie by going along with the narrative. That's why you didn't investigate. That's why you didn't look at the videos. You didn't bother to question anybody, any witnesses. You didn't bother to go to the scene. You didn't bother to go to the house. You didn't bother because this was a premeditated plan. So everybody just took, when it happened and we knew what time it was going to happen, everybody take your spot. So there's Eric Tetro at the gate waiting for Chris. There's Susie making sure he gets his medication that morning. There's John Paul and Micah showing up in the aftermath, acting like they care and they're so concerned. Everybody played their part. And you know why? Because these people got paid to do that. Same thing happened with Micah. Remember, the injuries on Micah's head do not fit with the ammo she bought that day. So where did it come from? Where did it come from? Someone else. Micah's own hand did not take her own life because the very ammo she purchased did not take her life. So where did this ammo? If Micah had other ammo, why would she buy the hollow point? Why would she buy it? She wouldn't need it. She had other ammo. No, Brenda, I did not, hon. I did not see it. I did not see it. Be careful, Beach Bell. Take care. Is everybody seeing this? I know I've not had much sleep last night, but is everybody seeing this the way I'm seeing this? Do we have to go over that message one more time from Shonda? Because it's just so clear to me now, the intent, the plan on what these two wanted. You know, and let me just put it up there one more. And I just want you to know, disclaimer, I actually have an alarm on so that I'm not on for too long today so that I go back to bed. But I wanted to make sure we got this out because it's just too important. When you hear what this witness is saying, You hear her complaining to the nurses. Why is she complaining to the nurses? Now, is this during the time that they've got him on life support? Is that what she's angry at the nurses about? Because they're getting in the way of the plan? What was she arguing? What was she so upset about with the nurses? I figured you did. I figured you did, Bridget. Yeah, I figured you did. Yeah. I don't see how it could be any other way. When you see this kind of wording, and then you hear this other witness, and then you hear what John Paul is saying, and knowing what kind of person, John Paul is a very calculated person to get what he wants. Yeah, they had to have been paid off. They had to have been part of the plan or the protection. Remember, I said yesterday, I believe that this deputy coroner was put into place untrained, no training, zero training. And so I think that she was put into place to protect the likes of people like John Paul and now Susie Skinner. And we all know that kind of corruption, you got to line their pockets. They're not going to put themselves in jeopardy like that for free. And if that's insulting to Miss Willard, then prove me wrong. Or hire an attorney, because I have a feeling that the feds are listening and they're going to be looking into you. And it's very easy to see if money was ever put into your account, especially during that time. So, yeah, I agree with you, Auntie M. I believe that these people were paid off, just like Myrtle Beach Police Department. I believe they're loaded with corrupt cops that just protect the criminal. And they've been doing this for decades. They've gotten away with it. But again, we're in unprecedented times. We know that people who are very powerful, who've gotten away with a lot for a long time, are now being held accountable. And these people are no different. Now, when is it going to happen? I don't know. I just like you guys, I'd like it to be in the next hour. But it's going to happen. It has to happen, because there's federal investigations now going on for both Micah and Chris. I'm just waiting for when are they going to do a raid on Susie? Because that might be coming up, people. They may end up raiding whatever place she's living in, or wherever she has been, or who knows. So I think that we've got a lot coming into the future. I'm hoping it's the near future, where we'll see more activity coming from the feds in regards to this. But again, the petition helps to keep things, to the forefront, keeping the authorities in check and making sure that Chris and Micah's deaths are never swept under the rug, never forgotten, never go cold. We just won't allow it. And for some reason, God is not allowing these cases to get cold. They are just as hot today as they were a year ago. It must be for really good reason. So let me bring up that, for anybody that wasn't here yesterday, let me bring up the, it's a website that I think Tamara put together. And the reason for that was that everything is on there. And I'll just show it to you again. If I can get it. Let me see. I just want to make sure I have it here for you. That is it. And then I'm probably going to try to go to bed. If I can sleep. Lately it's not been easy to sleep. All right, let me put it up here. All right. And I promise to put this in the chat so you guys will be able to get it after the show is over, of course. Now you could see here on the side, you could just sign the petition. Just so you guys know, you do not have to be a South Carolina resident. You could be anywhere in the globe, anywhere, and you can sign it. And there's all these different tabs. It gives you audio, news, the petition, of course, naturally. And I never really, the laws, how to contact, but this also, if you just scroll down, you can find the same thing. And these are different YouTube, videos. One is WBTW, Channel 13 News, where it says Sister of Man Who Drowned in 2021, directly connected to John Paul Miller and Micah Miller. Then we've got The Law and Crime, also on YouTube. Micah Miller's husband linked to Friends drowning death lawyer. Then another one from Channel 13 again, WBTW Channel 13 News. Horry County Chief Deputy Coroner questioned as mysteries swirl around high-profile cases. Then we got the Robbie Harvey, Chris Skinner tribute. And then this petition is not just for Chris, but also for Scott. Spivey talks about the mishandling of their cases, chain of custody, failure to maintain transparent public communication. And it's really just the full reason why this petition even began. Under that, you will find a few of the Truth Drip YouTube channel videos. And there's just about 3 here. But if you click on this button here, you will be able to go right directly to the channel. And then if you keep scrolling down, you can find where you can contact by email or by phone. And so this is just chock full, all information, not just the petition. And what I'll do is I will put this in the chat after the show so you guys can get it. Let me see. Shannon says, oh, thank you. Yeah. And I really do believe, Shannon, that thank you so much. I really do believe that there are more people victimized by this corruption. Families maybe that have also been affected, but they are just too scared to come forward. I believe that when the day comes, and I believe that day is coming because God is so good, that John Paul and his cohorts are finally taken off the street. These people will finally be free to vocalize their experiences, how they've been victimized, how their loved ones have been victimized. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of stories that come forward. I think they're both sick. Why not just divorce? Well, as you can see, Donna, there was a motive to get life insurance money. Accidents sometimes will give, I think they call it double indemnity for life insurance payout. So I think that's what they were looking for. She admits it. That was in number 21, Truth Drip 21, where she admits to this witness, I stand to gain a lot of money post Chris' death. And then I show you the comment that she makes to her friend Shonda before Chris dies, saying, I wish that he would just die already and it would just be over. And that's because she wanted to move on with John Paul Miller. And knowing that she also, stood to gain a lot of money. So, yeah, well, this is why 2 good humans have to be gone just because of the wines. Remember the scripture that says, the love of money is the root to all kinds of evil. This is it. This is it. This is what we're looking at. We hear that scripture, but until we actually see it in play, it's just words, Now we're seeing it. We're seeing people who are moved by money, moved by sexual desire, moved by what they want, very narcissistic. They justify removing these people. They justify it. And this is people, I think, that, are given up to their own delusions. They're given up to their own desires. The problem with that is the very demons that they have been entertaining by doing these wicked things are now going to be, how do you put it? They're not going to get God's protection from these demons anymore. So these demons could have to go at John Paul and Susie without any protection from God. That's where we are. That's where the season that we're in. So if it seems like it's taking a long time for accountability and justice, don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in doubt. Don't get caught up in, because I understand. I feel that way too. I get that way myself. But I still do believe that God is going to allow for accountability. And I believe that we started to see the beginning of that November 1st, 2024, when they raided his house. So we just have to keep the faith. We have to keep the faith. Something new is always coming up to make sure that we know that we're on the right path. We're not accusing innocent people here of anything. So I wanted to play those two videos for you. I felt that they were very important for you to hear. I did want to bring up Shonda and just kind of align that with these two videos. I felt that that was necessary. As I said, I'm going to put this link to Stand Up SC in the chat after the show. Also, if you haven't already, please try to share the online protest. I try to put that up every night. If you can't or don't know how to share it on any of the platforms, then please do the best you can with contacting the FBI, the DOJ, the Attorney General, or even SLED. Let them hear your voice. If you can't email them through their websites, then phone them. Phone them. No problem, Amelia. I'm more than happy to do it. Yeah. Thank you. And I'm just so tired right now. I'm going to go. And I've had 2 cups of coffee. It's just not working. And you probably can hear it in my voice too. It's a little scratchy. So, but I'm going to keep my eye out for any new truth drips, and you will see me soon. Thank you, Donna. And I will be back. And if you want, even share this video if you're able to. So until I see you guys again, please sign the petition. Please share the petition. Please share the online protest. Hey, Matt, thank you, hon. Please stay in prayer. Please talk to God. And until I see you guys again, stay safe and God bless.